Hi friends, Mindy here. Welcome to a different sort of video. I am going to be creating some ephemera from all of these bits and bobs that I have found on my desk. I was working on cleaning my craft space today, and these were just things that were laying around and things that needed to be dealt with, and so I gathered them all up and I'm going to just create some random ephemera. I have just some labels, some thank you cards, some old book paper, some hymnal, some lace, just all kinds of little bits and bobs, even this ledger page that I was going to put in a journal, but it was a little bit too brittle, so I'll do something else with that, along with some ephemera pieces from Tim Holtz and some labels from the Junk Journal Studio. Lots of different things. And one of the videos that I really like to watch, the type of video, is a random ephemera making session. So Rachel at Roxy Creations does one called What's in My Box, where she just makes, random ephemera, and I just find that particularly inspiring to me personally. And so I thought I would just do the same thing with just kind of these bits and bobs of what's on my desk. So let me know in the comments if this is something that you would enjoy seeing more of as I create some ephemera today. So I'm starting off with this roll. It's actually like the end of a roll of this scrapbook.com double-sided adhesive. And so I have just a few inches of it left, and I am going to create basically some washi strips out of fabric leftovers. So these are just the fabric pieces that I have had put in a little bin next to my desk. I keep little fabric scraps in it. And so I'm just going to pull some of these different ones and I'm going to glue them down on this super sticky tape. And then when I want to use it, I can actually just kind of apply it like I would with washi tape, but it will just be fabric. So I just pulled out a few of my favorites. One is a vintage piece. One is that like red ticking, and then I have this mustard color. I think this is actually something I got from By the Well for God. And then this little teal one. It was just a good size. And so I'm just adhering that down. I'm going to trim off all of the excess here just with some scissors, and then I will cut this down. I thought about doing it like a collage masterboard, but I decided in the end to just keep it true to each of the strips. So I may trim them down further later, but for now I'm just separating the different fabrics. So I have 4 little faux washi strips out of some leftover tape, and I am going to move on. I have these glue book pages from when I'm working on other projects, and they're sticky kind of on one side, and so I decided to make some little tags out of these. Shauna at Shinuki Art does this, and I just thought it would be a good way to use up these glue pages that already kind of the inner section is already glued closed basically, so I just added a little bit more glue, and then I'm going to cut them into a tag shape using this tag as a template. And then my intention is to go ahead and sew around the edges, but I need all of this glue to dry that I added. So I'm going to just trim these down and set these off to the side to dry, and then I will go back around them with some stitching later on. So I'm just going to set those over to the side and pull out the next piece. This is another glue book page that has been just folded in half. I'm just going to trim off this one side here that doesn't have any text on it, and then I'm going to create a little pocket out of this. So I pulled out my ginormous circle punch, and I'm just going to cut a little thumb notch in the top of that, and then I will round the corners of the top of this pocket. I like to do that. I just think it makes it look a little bit more finished. And I decided I'm just going to add a couple of these ephemera pieces that were actually laying on my desk. And then I'm wanting to keep everything kind of neutral, or so that I can add things to it later when I decide to actually put them in a journal. I can add a couple little details to help it coordinate with the journal that I'm making. And so this is just where I'm at right now. I'm just going to set that off to the side. And I have this guest check that I received, and I thought I would add some of this Tim Holtz tissue, this collage tissue, down on the bottom section of this. I really like the music paper of this, and that glue stick that I'm using is a Yoo-Hoo glue stick, and it is blue while it's still wet, and then as it dries it goes clear, so I don't have to worry about that underneath that tissue tape. It looks blue, but it will actually go clear as it dries. And then I added some dictionary page, some vintage dictionary, and then I'm going to add some of these botanical images from a vintage book as well, just kind of down the left side. This is a really long piece, and so I will probably use this as a journaling card or a ginormous like tag in a pocket. But I'm adding these pieces just to give it a little bit more strength, first of all, and also just some interest in the background, trimming off the excess here. And then I'm going to glue this down to some scrap coffee dyed paper just to make it a little bit more vintage. It's very white on the front of it, but I just like the coffee dyed look to that. And I'm going to set that underneath my mat to let that dry so it doesn't curl up too much while it's drying. And then this tag, there's like some paint or something on that, like one little blob of there. So I'm going to add this ledger, and I just love this old ledger. So I'm going to cover this entire tag with this. So I'm just adding a bunch of glue here to my tag, and then I'm keeping the rough side where it was torn out of the ledger. And so just so you can see just a tiny smidgen of the tag behind it, burnishing that down, and then I'm going to tear around the edges just because it's going to give it a really nice look because this paper is so old. And then I will decorate that later. I did just punch the hole again where that hole reinforcer is, and then that glue page that I was using, I just turned into another tag as I was kind of working here. And then again, I'll set that off to the side so that it can dry and I can stitch around it later. And then I have this one random page from a hymnal, and I decided to create one of my favorite styles of pockets. So you just kind of fold this over. I think I've done this on a reel or even a short here on my channel, I think. And then you just fold these over and kind of tuck that one side in, and it gives you just a lot of surface area, a lot of pockets to be able to put things. So either to send as happy mail or to use as a pocket in my journal. So I just need to add a little strip of glue down along the bottom. Whenever I'm closing up a pocket, I like to use art glitter glue because it's just a nice strong glue there. And you can leave the pocket just like it is with the 2 points at the top. I think that looks interesting as well. But because I don't know what size journal I'm going to be putting this in, I decided to go ahead and trim this as just straight across so it's even, and just using my ruler and a craft knife there. And then you can see all of the different pockets here that this gives you. So you can get a lot of stuff tucked in there depending on how you glue that down on a journal page as well. So these little thank you cards that I got from Mr. Penn when I ordered from them, I am just going to add a little bit of book page, and I will turn these into a couple of different things. So this is some dictionary. I'm just wrapping that. I wanted to make sure that it was straight. This other one I'm going to cover. This was in an Etsy purchase, I believe. This is a little tiny one. I'm going to use that same vintage book page with the floral images on it, just lining this up. I'm going to set that off to the side as well. I have another little thank you card from, I think that was Mr. Penn as well. And doing the same thing, I'm just going to use a little piece of hymnal on there. And then I had another one of those square cards that I covered in that bingo card right there. I must have cut that out of when I was editing, but that's okay. So I'm going to trim all of those down. This is the one that has the bingo card on it. And I'm wrapping this around the sides because I'm actually going to use this one as a tuck spot. So I'm just adding some glue to give it a nice edge to it. And then I will cut it down so that when I glue this, it will kind of go in the corner of a page and then work as a tuck spot. And I just really liked the vintage kind of bingo board on here. I just thought it was a lot of fun. So I'm just deciding which angle I want to cut this at here. You could do it as a side tuck or whatever, but I just really liked it for that. And then this one with the music paper, I'm going to turn into a little tag here, just using a template to do that as well. And then the other, sorry. I'm pulling that guest check back out to actually finish decorating it. So I have some random bits and bobs. These are some Tim Holtz ephemera pieces here. and I am just adding them kind of down as a little cluster down there in the bottom left-hand corner. And then if I decide to, I can always add something to the upper right-hand corner if I want to, or I can leave that as writing space. But I just wanted to pull some of the red from the background paper with those numbers. And then I did punch a hole in this. I will use this as a tag, and I'm going to use a little strip of that ticking fabric that I have, and because it's got that red stripe in it. And so I just added that through the hole. I'm going to trim that down just a little bit, and I think that that just kind of pulls everything together for that, and that will just be like a little journaling spot in a pocket. And then this little tag was one of those thank you cards here, and I'm just gluing down some Tim Holtz ephemera pieces. I had some of these just laying around on my desk. I pulled some from my stash, and just trying to give these a good start. Like I said, if these are something that I want to add, like a word or something else down the road, I certainly can do that, or they can stay just like they are. But this just gets them mostly decorated. I think that one could probably stay just like it is. And this little pocket is difficult to decorate because once you fill it up, there's just so much stuff. So I'm really only going to add a little bit of ephemera over here on the left side. I'm just going to add one of those little die cuts and a couple of other pieces from Tim Holtz down here in the bottom, on the bottom left side. And that's really just to give it a little bit of interest. I don't want to decorate the whole thing. Again, I could add to it later on. But like I said, it gets very busy when you add all of the things in all of the pockets. So I'm just pulling those colors together and just creating that little cluster there on the left side, and that will be good to go. This tall tag that had the vintage ledger paper on it, I'm starting out with a label. This is from Michelle at the Junk Journal Studio. And then this paper that I'm adding here, this fussy cut of a flower, this is from a vintage book. And so I just pulled out this kind of artist drawing of this floral, and then adding another little label down here at the bottom. That way you can still kind of see the ledger behind it. Again, if I want to add something else, it still gives me space to do that. And then I added some fabric that I just stapled at the top. And then this tag can just go into a journal. And then I pulled out one of those, this was one of those Mr. Penn thank you cards that I used. I put the dictionary page on, and now I'm just going to add a couple pieces of ephemera here. And I put coffee dyed paper on the back of this as well. So this will be a little journaling spot that people can, I can put in a pocket. And I can still add something. I left a little bit of room kind of at the top if I wanted to add a word or a label or something like that. Again, trying to keep these versatile enough that when I go to put them in a journal, they will work. So that's why I have that little kind of space up at the top. And then this is the one that's the little tuck spot. And all I really wanted to do to that one was add a label because it had so much busyness with the bingo board in the background. It just felt like it was fine, just like it was. So I came back to this pocket. I added another little label and this little butterfly just to really kind of finish that one off. And then I have this was a thank you card as well. I have a couple of ephemera pieces here that I just cut down, and I'm just making a little cluster there. And then I added this little flag just up at the top right hand corner. I just felt like this helped kind of balance everything out. The background is kind of busy with those drawings on there. So I like having these with just kind of the little pop of color against that sort of black and white background. And then these were the little tags. I decided not to sew them around or sew around them because I have the wrong color in my sewing machine. And so I didn't want to take the time to do that for this video, but I will sew around them eventually. But you can see all the little pieces of ephemera that we created today from all the randomness that was just laying around my craft space as I was cleaning up today. So if you like this video, I would really appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Consider joining my Facebook group. That information will be in the description. Let me know if you'd like to see more videos like this as well. And until next time, bye.